Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is WireDogSec and I'm back with another video for you guys. Hopefully you're all having an awesome day today and we're going to continue on with the pre-security learning path inside of TryHackMe. Alright, this is how the web works, DNS in detail for this room here. This is learn how DNS works and how it helps you access internet services. Now let's go ahead and jump into it. Hey everybody, just a quick little blurb here. As you can see here, most people that view my channel are not subscribers. If you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you're enjoying the video, please consider hitting the like button. It helps get me in the algorithm, helps spread the good word out there, helps bring more people and increase our glorious community here. All right, I'm all about helping out others. I know what it's like to come up in cybersecurity or even try to get into cybersecurity and not knowing where to look. I'm just having this channel up so I can help out other people. All right, that's all I got. Task number one, what is DNS? DNS, also known as Domain Name System, provides a simple way for us to communicate with devices on the internet without remembering complex numbers. Much like every house has a unique address for sending mail directly to it, every computer on the internet has its own unique address to communicate with it, called an IP address. An IP address looks like the following: 104 dot yada yada yada, four sets of digits ranging from 0 to 255, separated by a period. When you want to visit a website, it's not exactly convenient to remember this complicated set of numbers, and that's where DNS can help. So instead of remembering 104 dot yada yada yada, you can remember tryhackme.com instead. And it's got an infographic here with an example of that. That 1.4 IP address goes to tryhackme.com, and of course, these other domains here are going to have their own IP addresses associated with them. Now, these domains can have several IP addresses associated with them, but it's much easier to remember the domain name as it stated up above here instead of remembering 5011 different IP addresses. Now, what does domain or DNS stand for? Well, I'm just going to copy and paste it here. Domain name system, as we saw here from earlier. So we'll copy this and Control V it down here. There we go. Now, task number two. Let's see what they got for us. Task number two, domain hierarchy. And it's got a little infographic here talking about the root domain appears, the dot, whatever, right, between it, or before it and after it. The top level domain here, .edus, .coms, .gov, .mils, and the second level domains, right, goes and explains what's under that criteria, right? You got .edu is going to be education, um, organizations like schools and such. So it has MIT listed here, .com. I think that stands for like commerce or something like that. But anyway, it's going to be like TryHackMe, Google, like the usual websites. Then .gov, of course, for the government, United States, NASA, because it's ran by the government, right? Then you got .mil for military specific domains, Army, USMC, stuff like that. All right, let's get into it. TLD, top level domain. A TLD is the most right hand part of a domain name. So, for example, the tryhackme.com TLD is .com. There are two types of TLD: G TLD, which is generic top level, and CC TLD, country code top level domain. Historically, a G TLD was meant to tell the user domain name's purpose. For example, a .com would be for commercial purposes. That's it. Yeah, commercial purposes. .org for an organization, .edu for education, and .gov for government. And CCTLD was used for geographical purposes. For example, .ca for sites based in Canada, .co.uk for sites based in the United Kingdom, and so on. Due to such demand, there is an influx of new GTLDs ranging from .online, .club, .website, .biz, and so many more. For a full list of over 2,000 TLDs, click here. Now, you have to be careful with these. Some of these, like odd-looking ones, are a lot of times abused by threat actors to put up like phishing pages, scam websites, stuff like that. So you got to be careful. Second level domain, tryhackme.com for as an example. The .com part is the TLD, and TryHackMe is the second level domain. When registering a domain name, the second level domain is limited to 63 characters plus the TLD and can only use A to Z, 0 to 9, and hyphens. Cannot start or end with hyphens or have consecutive hyphens. Subdomains. A subdomain sits on the left side of the second level domain using a period to separate it. For example, in the name admin.tryhackme.com, the admin part is a subdomain. A subdomain name has the same creation restrictions as a second level domain, being limited to 63 characters and can only use A to Z, 0 to 9, and hyphens. Cannot start or end with hyphens or have consecutive hyphens. You can use multiple subdomains split with periods to create longer domain names, such as jupiter.servers.tryhackme.com, but the length must be kept to 253 characters or less. There is no limit to the number of subdomains you can create on your domain name. All right, so I answer these questions here. What is the maximum length of a domain? We've said above that was 63 characters. There we go. Which of the following characters cannot be used in a subdomain? That's going to be that underscore there. All right. What is the maximum length of a domain name? And as above, we saw that was 253 characters or less. What type of TLD is .co.uk? Remember, that's the CC TLD for the country code. There we go. Awesome. Now let's continue on to task number 3 here. And we're going to be talking about record types. DNS record types. DNS isn't just for websites though, and multiple types of DNS record exist. We'll go over some of the most common ones that you'll likely come across. A record. These records resolve to IPv4 addresses, for example, 1.0 or 104.26, yada yada yada. A record. These records resolve to IPv6 addresses, for example, 2606 colon yada yada yada. CNAME record. These records resolve to another domain name. For example, TryHackMe's online shop has the subdomain name store.tryhackme.com, which returns a CNAME record shops.shopify.com. Another DNS request would then be made to shops.shopify.com to work out the IP address. MX records, which is mail records. These records resolve to the address of the servers that handle the email for the domain you are querying. For example, a MX record response for tryhackme.com would look something like alt1.aspmx. Yada yada yada. These records also come with a priority flag. This tells the client in which order to try the servers. This is perfect for if the mail server goes down and email needs to be sent to a backup server. TXT records. TXT records are free text fields where any text-based data can be stored. Text or TXT records have multiple issues, but some common ones can be to list servers that have the authority to send an email on behalf of a domain. This can help in the battle against spam and spoofed email. They can also be used to verify ownership of the domain name when signing up for third-party services. Now let's take a look at these questions here. What type of record would be used to advise where to send email? Remember, that's going to be the LMX record. So there we go. Which just, I think, stands for mail exchange, if I'm not mistaken. What type of record handles IPv6 addresses? Remember, that's the four A's. A. There we go. And let's continue on to task number 4 here. We're going to be talking about making a request. What happens when you make a DNS request? Number 1, when you request a domain name, your computer first checks its local cache to see if you've previously looked up the address recently. If not, a request to your recursive DNS server will be made. Next step is a recursive DNS server is usually provided by your ISP, but you can also choose your own. This server also has a local cache of recently looked up domain names. If the result is found locally, this is sent back to your computer and your request ends here. This is common for popular and heavily requested services such as Google, Facebook, Twitter. If the request cannot be found locally, a journey begins to find the correct answer, starting with the internet's root DNS servers. Next step, the root servers act as the DNS backbone of the internet. Their job is to redirect you to the correct top-level domain server, depending on your request. If, for example, you request www.tryhackme.com, the root server will recognize the top-level domain of .com and refer you to the correct TLD server that deals with .com addresses. Number 4, the TLD server holds records where to find the authoritative server to answer the DNS request. The authoritative server is often also known as the name server for the domain. For example, the name server for tryhackme.com is kip.ns.cloudflare.com and yuma.ns.cloudflare.com. You'll often find multiple name servers for a domain name to act as a backup in case one goes down. Yep, that's that redundancy there. And the last step is 5. An authoritative DNS server is the server that is responsible for storing the DNS records for a particular domain name and where any updates to your domain name DNS records would be made. Depending on the record type, the DNS record is then sent back to the recursive DNS server, where a local copy will be cached for future requests and then relayed back to the original client that made the request. DNS records all come with a TTL, which is time to live value. This value is a number represented in seconds that the response should be saved for locally until you have to look it up again. Caching saves on having to make a DNS request every time you communicate with a server. And take a look at this little fancy infographic here, right? There's your computer. It goes to the recursive DNS server, root DNS, authoritative, and then it goes back to you, right? Then these have that information. What field specifies how long a DNS record should be cached for? Remember that was the TTL for time to live value. What type of DNS server is usually provided by your ISP? And I believe that was the recursive one up above here. There we go. Let's copy and paste that out of here. Okay, and then what type of DNS server holds all the records for the domain name? That was the authoritative one. There we go. And plug this last one in here. There we go. All right, task number 5, we're getting to some practical stuff. Using the website on the right, we can build requests to make DNS queries and view the results. This website will also show you the command you need to run on your own computer if you wish to make the request yourself. So let's go ahead and open this bad boy up and take a look at. All right, first question is, what is the CNAME of shop.website.thm? All right, the first thing you're going to do is change this to CNAME here, and you're going to type in shop, all right, and then send DNS request. Here we go here. So what's the CNAME of it? Well, it's going to be this Spotify one. So let's go ahead and copy that out of here. Plug it in here. There we go. What is the value of the text record of the website .thm? Let's go ahead and try to find that here. Change this to txt. Get this out of the way. There we go. There we go. Found the flag for that one. Plug this in here. What is the numerical priority value of the LMX record? So we're going to do the same thing, I believe. So let's go ahead and try it. That's here. And looks like it's going to be 30. Here we go. What is the IP address for the A record for the www.website.thm? Well, let's go ahead and find that real quick. Plug it in here. And that's going to be this alt10 IP address here. So we'll go ahead and plug that in there for the last one, and that should be it. Awesome. Now, if you got any type of value out of this room, if you enjoyed the video, just like tagging along, then please consider hitting the subscribe button with the notification bell if you're new here. Hit the like button and also comment below your thoughts and opinions. And as always, thank you for watching. Have a nice day, and I'll see you later.